Hey there, and welcome to Get Career Curious, the podcast that gives you the inside scoop on careers, what it takes to get there, and what the job is really like. Today's guest is proof that it's never too late to pivot and thrive. Meet Dr. Robyn Read, a board-certified veterinary surgeon and founder of Read Mobile Veterinary Surgery in Dallas. She's not only rocking the world of orthopedic and soft tissue surgery, but she's created her own mobile practice to make specialty care more accessible and affordable for her patients. But get this, veterinary medicine was her second career. After playing and coaching D1 volleyball, she made a bold move, going back to school, grinding through another 8 years of intense training, and ultimately building a career she loves. In this episode, we're talking passion, purpose, and persistence, and what it takes to really become a vet. Robyn, thanks for being on today.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
So, Robyn, did you always know you wanted to be a vet, or is this something that kind of evolved?
I definitely had kind of a special bond with my dog growing up, Garvey. He was an Airedale Terrier. Just, loved animals. And I think that probably, having a love for animals, but also having sort of an interest in problem solving, fixing things, working with my hands, being challenged physically, mentally, like all those things sort of with my personality kind of drove me towards, becoming a vet. But that's not my first career. I'm actually a second career person as far as veterinary medicine is concerned. So I kind of had a bit of a roundabout path to becoming a vet. And I think that path has helped me be a better vet.
So what was your original career path?
So Maria and I actually played volleyball together at the University of Michigan, and that's how we know each other a long time ago. And then after undergrad, I coached volleyball at the University of Colorado for 4 years. I was an assistant coach, and it was kind of there that I decided that I didn't want to do that forever and decided to take my prereqs for vet school and apply for vet school. Being a student athlete was difficult academically and just the time. So trying to get good grades in those high level sciences was difficult. Not just achieving the grade point that you need, but just literally having the time to do those 4-hour labs. Ended up graduating with a degree in anthropology and then coaching volleyball. And then deciding I wanted to give vet school a shot. It was definitely a dream and goal that I set for myself and went for it and made it happen.
Before you could even apply to vet school, you had to first...
If you go to undergrad and, usually like pre-med, pre-vet, biology degree, chemistry degree, you're going to have all those prereqs. You pretty much need a year of, your high level physics, chemistry. You need biochem. So, you need those high level courses. And then, so when I went back and took the prereqs while I was coaching, it was about 2 years. I needed about 2 years of solid prereqs. So applied to vet school, luckily got in on my first try. And I do think that my background as a student athlete really helped get in to vet school. There were, I think in a class of 82, I think 6 or 7 of us were college athletes. And so I do think that background working as a team, working hard, did open some doors for me. When you graduate from vet school after 4 years, you're a veterinarian. And if you want to specialize, so become, a surgeon, or there's lots of specialties, internal medicine, cardiology, radiology. There's many, specialties on top of just, being a vet. So that's another 4 years. But because I was a second career person and was a little bit older when I graduated from vet school, I think I was 29 when I graduated from vet school. I also knew that I wanted to have a family, at least one child, of my own. And the biological clock was ticking, and I knew that residency could wait, even though most people said, don't do it. If you go into practice and don't go right into residency training, it's hard to go back, and it's difficult to get a residency after you've been out for a while. But family was important to me. And so I had my daughter about 2 years after graduating from vet school. And then when she was 18 months old, I started my residency training. So that's 4 more years after vet school, 1 year surgical internship, and then 3 years of just intense surgery training in a residency program. And then hurdles you have to jump through to become a boarded diplomat of any specialty. After high school, it's just become a vet. It's at least a minimum of 8 years. To become a specialist, minimum of 12 years.
And you are an orthopedic vet, or do you do all surgeries?
I'm a surgeon. Yes, at the academic level, they have just surgery or soft tissue, but out in
Okay,
real world and practice, yeah, we do
right.
both. But I
You do
do
both.
probably 70% orthopedics.
Okay. Yeah, and is it on all animals? Do you specialize in like big animals, or is it really any of them?
When you graduate from vet school, you're licensed to practice on anything, but my surgical training is just small animals. So I just do mainly cats and dogs. I've done some rabbits, guinea pigs, chickens, some random animals here and there, but
Yeah.
generally cats and dogs. But speaking of, here's one of my cats. This is my favorite. My
Oh,
main coon.
I love those.
Handsome boy.
He's very handsome. So, what would you say was the most challenging part, the academic portion of your training? Looking back and giving advice to someone's like, I'm going to start this journey. What was the most challenging aspect of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely daunting to think about it. I think if you don't have a real sort of passion or you don't enjoy science, you don't have to love math, because I don't love math and I wasn't great at math. I think that sometimes scares people off because some schools require you to take upper level math, but others don't. So, but I do, I love the sciences. And so I think you definitely have to enjoy science because you're going to have a lot of science. But science to me is just problem solving. And that's what I like about it. Problem solving, figuring it out. It's me against the question, the problem. That's what I enjoy about it, is sort of that quest.
Well, it's hard. I mean, solving a problem with an animal is a little tricky. I think it's much trickier than solving a problem with a human, because you really have a dialogue and ask questions.
Right.
And
yeah, we're more along the line of pediatricians because their patients can't talk to them either. But
right.
yeah, to walk into a room and somebody give me a history of, I was outside running, I cut, I needed this, it'd be so much easier, make our job so much easier. But there's also a reason I didn't want to work on people. It's funny, when I told my dad that I got into vet school and then ideally wanted to pursue orthopedic surgery, he was pretty disappointed. And he said, I thought maybe you'd be a human surgeon. And I was like, no, people are gross. I don't want to be a human surgeon. I'd much rather work on animals, and I'm happy. I love it. I still, to this day, I work 5 days a week to bust my tail, but I love it. I love working on animals and making them, restoring them to, let them be athletes like we were.
Specialty. Can you talk about how you've set up your practice? Because it's a little different than how most vets treat their patients.
Yeah, sure. So, and again, with veterinary medicine, there's so much you can do. You don't have to be in a clinic. You could be working with public health issues, and you can be working on feedlots. How do we feed 1,000 head of cattle? Things like that. We need researchers. We need people of all different backgrounds that want to do things to basically move veterinary medicine forward. So I am a mobile surgeon. So I travel around in lots of different clinics. And the great thing about it is that I get to do surgery 5 days a week. If I were just kind of in a stationary clinic where people came to me, then I would be seeing appointments probably 3 days a week and only doing surgery 2 days a week. So this way I get to do what I love, which is surgery. I get to do it 5 days a week. One of my main goals of doing mobile surgery was keeping the cost of specialty surgery down and making it affordable. I do probably 6 to 8 ACL surgeries on dogs a week, and it's the most common orthopedic disease we see in dogs. Depending on where you are, it can be anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000 upwards, maybe more than that, to fix one knee ACL. And it's such a good surgery. The dogs do great in the right hands. The dogs do great. So I go to the clinic, and people that don't want to travel or go to a specialty, you go to your regular vet. The vet diagnosis calls me in. We get x-rays. We do all of our pre-op stuff. We get the diagnosis. And then I come to the clinic and do the surgery there. And it really helps keep the cost down, but still brings that specialty medicine and makes it more available to everybody.
Yeah, that's fabulous. I've actually never heard of that model, and I think it's pretty unique, and I mean, just so good for the patients and the dog or the pet owner.
Yeah,
because animals do get very expensive.
oh yeah.
So, tell me, what is your favorite part of your job?
I think my favorite part of my job is that, I get to kiss my patients, which very few doctors get to say that. I get to tell them I love them. I get to kiss them. I can make out with them. I get to fix them. I mean, that's what I like. I like to fix things. I like to make them better. I like to help people. I like to help animals. So I know that every day I get to make some animal in some person's life better. I will say that not every outcome is positive. You hear a lot of people say, well, I want to be a vet, but I don't want to euthanize and I don't want to take care of sick people. And that, thankfully, I don't have to do that with my job.
Yeah.
I don't do, that euthanasias, but, not every single surgery, especially some of the more difficult ones, has a great outcome, but at least we tried and we did everything we could for that animal. And the owners know that we did everything that they could for the animals. What I love about it is helping, fixing things, and I get to be mentally challenged and use my hands, which I love. And even though I do technically the same surgery every day, a lot of TPLOs, which are the surgery for an ACL, no TPLO is the exact same. If you're just doing a spay on a dog, no spay. I mean, it has the same fundamentals, the same basics, but it's not the same. So, every day you're still being challenged mentally. And, so I'd say that the best thing, about it is I get to help animals and, I have my own business, so I can make my own schedule, which is nice. And the downside, honestly, I don't even know. Like, there's nothing on this earth I'd want to do more than what I'm doing.
That is
lucky
so
that I found the one thing.
Yeah, you are lucky because I did not find the career I wanted. And I mean, this is why I'm doing this podcast because I think I should have just gone into a totally different career path. And I think so many people jump into something and they think, oh, well, I got my degree in this. And so they go down a path. And I think what you did was super brave. You just were like, no, I don't love coaching. And, you gave it a couple year try. And then you are like, well, I'm young. I'm going to go back and reinvest in myself. Are there any misconceptions about, becoming a vet that you want to dispel? Like, I know one is that vets have, super high mental health issues. Do you see that? Is that true? Or is that, misconception?
Yeah, it is. It's true. For some reason, people can't separate veterinary medicine from human medicine and insurance paying for things and, things getting done, sort of quickly and for cheap. And people say, well, if I was hospitalized for, kidney failure, then I would only pay, $500 deductible. It's like, yeah, well, you have health insurance and it's different. So, people make the vets feel guilty that, you're only in it for the money. And if you love dogs, you would save my dog for free. And it's like, but it's a business, unfortunately. And that's something we can get into is veterinary medicine used to be, a privately owned, the vet owned the business and they could set the fees and they could make exceptions sometimes when they needed to. But now veterinary medicine is very, very much run by corporate America and all these clinics are corporate. And now the vet has zero say in the fee schedule, any discounts that they can give to help somebody out. And so it's not the work, it's not the animals, it's not the euthanasias, it's not losing patients, it's the humans attached to that that make us feel that, we're people pleasers. That's why we're vets and we're suckers and we love animals, but they think that, it's our job to.
And there's so many overhead costs.
Figure out a way to
yeah.
Oh, it's so expensive. Yeah. I mean, we talked about specialty. I mean, there's so much cost involved, but if I could get this PSA out right now, get pet insurance. Pet insurance is not a scam. Pet insurance is great. I have pet insurance on all my pets. It helps. I mean, it's amazing. And it makes those difficult decisions and those difficult conversations so much easier when you say, my dog unfortunately got hit by a car. It needs an $8,000 surgery or $8,000 hospitalization. And if you have pet insurance, it's going to pay for 90% of that. Everybody's happy. So it's the torture, for lack of a better word, that we get from the people on the other end of the leash, because there's still humans involved in everything that make vets feel that aren't doing a good job or that we've somehow cheated them because it comes down to financial things. Yes. And nobody wants to have to make that decision based on finances, but sometimes we do.
Yeah, right.
And it's tough.
That's a tough one. Medicine.
And you talked about sort of putting myself out there. And that would be the one thing that I'd want to tell any young person that, and not just wants to be a vet or a surgeon or anything, just have that dream, set your goals. You got to go for it. You got to set those goals. You got to dream big. You're going to make sacrifices. You're going to take risks, but you just got to do it. Just like my dad told me, I still hear him in my ear every day. Nothing good in life comes easy. And it's true. Nothing good in life comes easy. You're going to have to work hard. Nothing is going to be handed to you. So I do think that today these kids want to be a podcaster. I want to somehow have this instantly great job and make all this money. But it doesn't happen that way. You've got to have a direction if you kind of know what that direction is and go for it. But you got to set goals, work hard, and there's going to be some stop signs in your way that you're going to have to figure out how to get around. And, I'd say talk to people, network. There's lots of opportunities out there for just chatting with people, talking with people. I feel like I was very lucky. I don't know if you call it luck or just my tenacity to not give up. But, I do feel like I am where I am because a lot of times I was in the right place at the right time, which is very different because if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, things turn out, things take a very, very different turn in your life. So, I happen to be always in the right place at the right time, but that's because I had a goal in a direction and nothing was going to sway me from that. Nothing was going to deter me. And if I got knocked down, then I was just going to come back again, swinging even harder for those goals.
Yeah, that's very you. How is AI affecting veterinary medicine? Stuff yet, or is it a little bit down the pipeline? I know there's some in medicine.
Yeah, there's a little bit. People will use AI apps, look at x-rays and, kind of point to something. And there's, they're starting to use robots in human surgery, but there's still a person driving the robot. Yeah. So right now, I would say AI is really a non-factor for us. Could it become something more? I would say the big thing for vets is not AI, but maybe this is a form of AI, but more the application where we can kind of talk our exam findings and it writes our records for us because we get really bogged down writing, medical records and staying on top of that. And so there's some pretty cool apps now that just listen to the whole conversation and they kind of edit out the how's your son and just listens to the conversation in the exam room and will literally write your medical record for you. There are some AI apps that can write op report on, removing a spleen in a dog. And I've actually looked at those for fun. I'm pretty impressed. They're better than a fourth year vet student would write. So I think from a time management, stress, AI will come in, but it's never going to replace, obviously, our hands or our minds. I think it'll have a somewhat of an impact, but if it does, it's going to be a minor, but a good impact and more for our efficiency and our time.
That's where a lot of it seems to be going. If you were in high school, how would you kind of dip your toe in the water into veterinary medicine before making the leap and committing to vet school?
Oh, yeah. Just go out to any vet clinic and say, hey, I'm in high school. I'm thinking about being a vet. Can I volunteer? Can I observe? Can I work on Saturdays picking up poop? That's where I started in my first clinic. I needed volunteer hours because they want around 1,000 hours before you get into vet school. They want to show you have about 1,000 hours in a vet clinic. So you really know what you're getting into. So I started while I was coaching. I went to my dog's vet and said, can I volunteer? And I literally started by picking up trash, picking up poop, cleaning kennels, kind of worked my way up to be able to start to do a little bit of technician work. But I would say, that's it. Just go to a clinic and say, I'm interested. You may get lots of no's, but somebody's going to say yes and give you a shot. And then you're going to see how it works from the back end. And you'll need people like veterinarians to write you letters to get into vet school. So, having those contacts, don't burn bridges, keep an open mind. And if you get to the first clinic and you go, I hate this, I don't like it at all, then try a different one because every clinic has a different kind of vibe and you may not necessarily hit it off with certain personalities or certain styles, but, I would say try, several different clinics and someone will give you a shot. I have vet students that travel with me in the summertime and get to scrub in, see a lot of surgeries. I have a student athlete, a women's volleyball player from Colorado that's home for spring break, and she's going to wants to be a vet. She's going to hang out with me Friday, watch some surgeries, and we're going to get to know each other so I can help her. So, vets, we love what we do generally, and we want other people to do it. They're pretty open and helpful.
Is there a big need for more vets?
There was, I would say 10 years ago, we were worried about the numbers, but now we have numbers. We have more vet schools. When I applied, there were only 21 vet schools in the US. And if they're putting out 80 to 100 graduates a year, it's not a lot. But now we've caught up. There's more vet schools. The classes are a lot bigger. So we don't have a shortage of vets anymore.
Are there any subspecialties that you think are really interesting or going to take off that, if someone wanted, okay, I don't want to be a regular vet, I want to specialize. What are your suggestions there?
Let's see then. Yeah, I mean, the world's your oyster. You tell us. I mean, we need these young, motivated minds to come in and say, I think we could do this. We obviously borrow a lot from the human side, kind of take that in, but we're starting to do a lot that, again, we start to get the pushback with money because a lot of time, people are private paying. And so, just because we can do a $40,000, kidney transplant doesn't mean, we always get to. Right. So yeah, I think that it probably veterinary medicine in 30 years, I wouldn't even recognize it. I think 20 years ago, has it changed that much since I got into it? Not really. Yeah. But I think we're due for, some big advances, and I would like to see it happen.
Great. All right. Final question, Robyn. If you could give, a single piece of advice to young kids looking at their future, what piece of advice would you like to offer?
I would say just go for it. Don't quit. Set your goal, have your dream, set that goal, and don't quit. And don't take no for an answer. And realize that it's not going to be easy. And that's the big thing is nothing is going to be handed to you. Nothing's going to be easy. Nothing good in life comes easy. And you're going to have to work for it. If you want it bad enough, you will. And you're not going to give up if you want it bad enough. That's what I did. I kept going. I kept asking. And I got no's. I was a fourth year vet student. I'd walk in and say, can I put that catheter in? And they'd say, no. And then maybe the fifth time they finally said, fine, just let her do it because she's always here and always asking. So you're going to get no's, and don't be discouraged by the no's, and don't be worried. I think a huge factor for kids thinking about vet school is the money and the loans, because vet school is crazy expensive. And I would say I mean, that's obviously a concern, but don't let that deter you. Just the biggest thing I think for anybody right now is you just got to work hard and keep grinding every day towards that goal. Now, that being said, did I have fun along the way? Heck yeah, I had fun along the way. And I still have fun every day, but I still find time to work out. I still have time to have fun. I'm still me, but I made a lot of sacrifices and knew that this was the goal and the dream, and just kept grinding, opening doors where doors maybe didn't exist, getting doors slammed in my face, and went, that's all right, because someone else is going to see something in me that they didn't. Just that determination and that tenacity, and you have to love it and you have to have a passion for it because it's a grind. And I think that most people that I know that are vets, the same thing. They just kept working, grinding towards that goal, knowing that there's no instant gratification. It's going to be long. It's going to be hard. It's going to be grueling. You're going to have lots of studying, lots of work, but that was part of the journey. And that was also part of the challenge. And I love a good challenge. I think all of us do. And, these high achievers, you want every day was a challenge. Every exam was a challenge, but that's what makes you better and that's what makes you stronger.
Well, thank you. That was awesome advice. I so appreciated having you on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And so, if you want to be a vet, go get it. Go do it. I believe in you. Someone will believe in you. You can do it.
Thank you for joining us today. Our goal is to help listeners discover meaningful careers that bring them joy and purpose. If you have a friend who might benefit from today's discussion with Robyn, please share this episode with them. Want even more career insights? Join our community at getcareercurious.com for exclusive content and behind-the-scenes access of this podcast that you won't find anywhere else. Thank you again for joining me, Marita McCahill, in this episode of Get Career Curious. I'll see you next time.